feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey there.
Hey.
It's time for another
Kármán line short review.
But that's what I
Kármán
was
line
about.
short
I was
review.
about
Kármán
to
short
say
review.
that.
Kármán line short
This is
Kármán
the
line
only
short
place
What
where
is
three cursed filmmakers review your user-submitted short film.
Cursed?
Cursed? Yeah, we're cursed.
Cursed filmmakers.
We are filmmakers. And
That
we
is
are cursed.
heavy.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
We are cursed.
If there are
by mine.
small children around, you might want to put them away.
Contagious.
Is it
Yes.
through video?
Yeah, if you watch this, you're cursed too.
Are we like the...
Join us.
What was that thing? Momo?
Become one of the peeps. Momo.
There you go.
All right.
What's going on?
Today we are...
What are we talking about?
Oh, we're reviewing a movie.
Short film.
Short film.
Oh, this is Kármán line short review.
It's Kármán line short review.
We're reviewing short
Oh,
film.
that short
show.
review.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. Okay, so what's on the docket?
We have a film submitted to us by the writer.
Yeah, Hamish.
Whose name is Hamish.
Oh, he's in the cult.
He's in Kármán line cult.
He is.
has a
Hamish
lot of
is a
cool
cult
comments.
member.
He is a cult member.
Brother Hamish.
What's his
What's up,
name?
Hamish? Brother Hamish.
What's his name?
We're
There
trying
we
to
go.
get your last name.
Hamish Downey.
Hamish Downey.
Hamish Downey. Submitted to us by Hamish Downey, and this is directed by Paul Leeming.
Who is not in the cult, but probably should be.
Yes.
Paul joined the cult.
This is a film called An American Piano. If you'd like to watch it, watch first, and then come back and watch us talk about it.
Yep.
And now let's summarize the movie.
Do a quick little
Sure.
synopsis.
Yeah, synopsis. Can you want to do that for us?
Sure, I would say this is a film takes place during World War II in Japan. The main character is a young girl. Her father is teaching her how to play piano on a very nice American grand piano in their house. They have to sacrifice a great deal to keep that piano. And a prisoner of war camp is put right next door to this family, where at least one, maybe several soldiers are comforted by the small girl's piano playing every day. And at the end of when Japan surrenders at the end of the movie, they come over and thank her for playing the piano. That's the movie.
That's the movie.
Now you don't have to watch it. I mean, you should go watch it.
We still go watch it, yeah.
Definitely still watch it.
So we got...
There's a huge twist at the end, too.
Yeah.
It's not actually Japan.
It's not actually Japan.
It was all a simulation.
Yeah, so we'll start out with our first impressions. Candy, we'll start out with your first impression.
Excellent. Okay. First of all, whoa, this was a much higher caliber production than we typically see here on Kármán Line Short Review.
Yeah.
Big production, huge crew, beautiful locations. I didn't read where it was shot in the credits, but
Yeah, I wonder where.
they did a good job of creating an authentic sense of place.
Yeah.
I bought into we were in World War II Japan, and wow, period piece, always a huge challenge, and they pulled that off. It was a very simple film. It was a simple story and a simple film in terms of the amount of places and people, and they kept it really tight and clean. I have qualms with some of the story and how it was executed, but we'll get into that shortly. But my main immediate gut reaction is, wow, nice job. I'll save all my mean stuff for later.
Perfect.
My first impressions was, just like, holy crap, wow about the production itself was it just looked like a bunch of money was put into this, which was interesting.
Yes, it did look like a lot of budget on the screen here.
My second impression, if you will.
Wait a minute.
was more or less about how the story, like how it came to be. It seemed to start out really, really strong, and then seemed to pilfer at the later parts. So yeah, that's my first impression.
Yeah, I would agree with both of you. Definitely extremely impressive production, nailing the period quite well. And I did think it was an interesting idea for a story. Obviously, it's based on a true story, so there's some history to it, and I think that's really interesting.
Oh, kind of like Overlord.
Yes, like Overlord.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly like
Yeah.
Overlord.
Historically.
Yeah.
accurate.
Another
Historically
World War
accurate.
II movie.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Based on a true
Very
story.
sentimental. But I did have some story issues, some little bit of writing issues as the film progressed, and a lot of, I think we have quite a few critiques that we all kind of agree with that we're going to give later on into the review. But overall, I think it was an impressive movie.
Well, why don't we get started on one of those topics?
To jump
right now?
into writing?
Let's jump into right.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm excited. I'm
Let's jump right
sharpening my teeth. I'm ready to dig in.
You guys ready for that sound?
What sound?
Writing.
Where does that
Wow.
come from?
I don't know.
really
It
nice.
just kind of just pops up.
Makes
Wow.
my ears feel good.
Well, writing then. Can I begin?
No.
Fine. Who goes first?
We don't. We just stay here.
Oh.
Writing means. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we talked a lot about the movie after our viewing and about what seemed to work and what seemed to not. And the two things that really seemed the weakest happened to be the two things that the whole story hinges upon the
Yeah.
most.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the little girl's relationship to piano playing and the connection that's established between her and the prisoner of war.
Yeah.
So we really didn't get enough in her character development to tell us how she really felt about playing the piano. We had no clue that she enjoyed playing the piano or had any kind of relationship to this special piano, which, by the way, we didn't know it was a special piano until much later in the movie. Until she says no when they threaten to take the piano wire away.
Right.
And that was really important. I thought something that would have really mattered, that her piano was her escape. But really, there was nothing in the way that it was shot or the words that were spoken to tell us this was anything but mandated lessons from her parents.
That's kind of
like
what it
maybe
felt
she
like, yeah.
hated playing the piano.
Right.
Yeah.
We really couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And then all we had was this guy sitting across the way, kind of staring at her.
Kind of creepy.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, you really could interpret that
That's really creepy.
a lot
honestly.
of ways. There's a lot of ways to interpret that because there's not enough given to us to draw a really clear conclusion.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, I really felt if we had sort of hopped the line over to the soldier's
Like
side
his point of
and
view,
we
yeah.
saw like 8 soldiers up against the wall just listening to her play or
Yeah.
something like that, might have given me a little better idea.
I think so.
But honestly, that shot where you have, I mean, we'll get into cinematography later, but
Yeah,
when you have the foreground elements
vor,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
it gives you
voyeur.
this sense of menace.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a bad guy over there.
Right. Yeah.
So without those two plot points landing, it was hard to get the emotional impact that I could tell they wanted you to have at the end.
Yeah.
Completely
yeah.
agree.
I would. Yeah. Absolutely agree. I don't know if that falls more into acting or not, but like I never bought, just like you were saying, that she was ever attached to the piano, other than, like you said, mandated lessons.
Yeah, I don't think she was given enough to tell us, even with good acting.
I was able to infer that she enjoyed playing the piano because of what the film is called, and
I understood
Because-
that's what it was about.
yeah.
Honestly,
but,
I didn't quite go there.
but I do agree that they needed to do more to show
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, what threw me
I
off
feel like I got
was
lucky.
the 2 or 3 times that they said "get under the piano."
Yeah.
It felt like that was more significant than the fact that she played it.
Mm.
Like, and I thought they were leading us to a story where, you know, the emotional significance was that, you know, her and her mom would hide under this piano whenever the bomb raids came. But that ended up being just sort of like a sub theme.
Just happened.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, definitely with I liked the setup of this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I really liked seeing the little girl laying on her back, you know, seeing shapes in the clouds and
I like that
animals in
too.
the clouds, and then the planes fly over. Like I love that.
Yeah.
But it does definitely kind of miss the climax for me because the relationship between the girl and the soldier is not made clear at all, and it kind of doesn't make sense at the end when the soldier. That's a weird feeling, right? To be an American soldier right after Hiroshima, and you're going up to the people of that country that your
You just
country
conquered.
just absolutely decimated, and you're coming to your knees offering something that we don't get to see.
You're
And then
talking
she
about
gives
that
you
actual
something
part.
in return. Like, that's a really heavy thing in a weird dynamic that I felt a little dissonant to me.
Yeah,
Like, he drops something to her, but we don't get to see what it is, and she gives something to him, but it seems unearned, and it also seems a little awkward because I feel like there would be a lot of resentment towards him.
Yeah. I like, just flip it around.
Yeah.
Right? And imagine the Japanese had won the war.
Yeah.
And these guys were being released to be sent back to their now conquered country.
Yeah.
You know, do you see him coming over and saying thank you for playing the piano?
I do acknowledge that this is based on a true story, and it says in the credits at the end that she did give dolls to the soldiers.
Yeah.
So I realize that is a real thing that happened, and that there necessarily wouldn't be outright resentment. I'm sure some people were, maybe obviously the little girl's
Right.
innocent, but like in the film, what we see in the film, it feels weird.
Highly unlikely.
It feels very
Yeah.
unlikely.
It's not so much about whether or not it happened, it's how you're going to sell us on the fact that it happened. You still have to
Yes.
make us believe
right.
that it happened.
Yes.
You can't just say, oh, it's true.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I never bought for a second that the little girl had any attachment to him whatsoever, and I think we talked about that. But
Because there is the line in the beginning where she's like, he was thin and looked sad, but he was handsome.
Yeah. And to me, that was like, okay, well, that's leading up to building a connection with this guy, not only emotionally, but like maybe possibly romantic, later on.
Yeah.
In the,
But then
much
she's like a
later.
little girl.
Yeah, much later in life. But yeah, that's.
And then they don't interact.
Yeah, then they don't interact
Other
at
than
all,
give
and-
each other kind of creepy looks, especially after the word handsome is
Also,
used.
in that line,
Exactly.
it made me. I thought she was saying that Chopin himself was the guy.
Oh.
Because she said, I was just playing Chopin when I saw him. He was thin, right? I was practicing my Chopin the first time I noticed him. And I'm like, Chopin was there?
I didn't.
What? That's how I read it. So, yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, man, this is an interesting story.
So when she's saying he looks so sad and thin, yet I still remembered how handsome he was, it feels like she's saying that from her present point of view in this film, 2012.
Yes.
Like she's saying, I remember how handsome he was, not from the perspective of
That-
the little girl,
Right.
which is interesting.
That
is interesting.
And that reminds me of the other writing note I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
They introduce her as a narrator of the story and the primary narrative perspective
Yeah.
halfway through the movie.
Well, yeah, about
The
5
first
minutes.
half of the movie, it's much more of sort of a omniscient observer,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it actually would have felt perfectly normal if we cut to the outside of the building, if we cut over to the prisoner of war camp next door.
Right.
That's not the case once she becomes a narrator. Now this is her story through her eyes.
Right.
But we weren't doing that for the first half of the movie.
To 5 minutes in,
And so when her narration came in, it felt very weird.
or 6 minutes in. Yeah. I would agree there.
Easy fix, by the way. You just need one line of narration at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
I was
just to
sitting and
establish
watching
it.
clouds when the American planes first came,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then we know.
Yeah, it's weird because I know exactly what this movie is about, but it would be hard for me to explain it to somebody. That I feel like it's not that clear cut. Like I couldn't say. If someone would ask me what this movie's about, I'd say it's about a girl who plays piano and hid from bombs or something. Like I couldn't say, it's about
Like
a
a
girl
theme?
who learned something,
Yeah.
or anything like that.
I don't know. Well, yeah. I think the
Maybe.
problem for why that is in choosing to tell the story through the girl's perspective, because she's not necessarily the story arc.
Well,
I
so,
mean,
yeah. So
she
who
has
is the story arc? What
it-
is happening here?
I think it's more the soldier on the other side, but we
That's
never
funny.
visit him.
That's
Now,
funny.
I mean, she obviously has some kind of emotional arc that has to do with her deciding that that the enemy is a human, right? That I feel like that's what's going on inside of her, but we don't really. It's not a part of this movie.
Right.
That's just me completely inferring.
Right.
If anyone has an arc, it's the man in the prisoner of war camp
Yeah.
who hears this little Japanese girl playing, and that music is what keeps him going.
Yeah.
So much so that when he's liberated, he feels like he owes her a debt of gratitude.
Well, and
You know.
it's weird to me, and I'm sorry, I'm going to slip a little into acting here, but it's weird to me that they put so much emphasis on the little girl, being that it's her story. I understand that, but like so much emphasis on her as a character in the story when everything else is so much more traumatic. When her mom is like bawling over something.
I think they needed to go, if they're going to do that, they had needed to go all the way.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I imagine this movie's being put together from the narration of the actual person.
Right.
Because at the end, they show she's around, right?
Right.
And so I'm guessing she told them the story, and they pieced together the movie from that. That being the case, why not go all the way? Why aren't we feeling her fear with her?
That's the thing.
Like,
is,
put the
yeah.
camera under the piano with her. We
Right.
should be like in
That really
terror
bothered
of
me.
being
Yeah.
destroyed.
There's a. I'm so gonna talk about this film. I love this film. There's a film. Oh, it's not a film even. It's a commercial. What is it called? It's called If London Was Syria.
Syria.
I think.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is such a good movie, but it's a
It's like for a nonprofit. Right?
yeah. So it's a nonprofit commercial that's about a minute long, I think, and it tells a story second person, which is something you never see. It's
Explain what that means.
second person's just where everything is happening to you, but you in here is the girl because everything is being seen. It's like an onlooker's perspective. So it's always a close up of the girl's face, and every single shot of the movie is just a close up of her face. But it's in different situations throughout a whole bunch of things that are happening. So
Yeah.
the thing is, she doesn't have a huge breadth being a little girl actress. She can smile, she can laugh, and she can hide her face maybe and not say many words. That's kind of what she can do. But the way they designed the whole ad is by making everything else so crazy that even her slightest, like twinge where she hides from something, you really feel that fear, And it's also the fact that you're just staring at her eyes throughout the entire thing. But the fact that we're staying so close with her the entire time really makes you feel like you're her or like you're there with her.
There were almost no close-ups of this girl.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? Except for the times that, there was one where she's looking over at the guy, which is interesting because she's looking at the piano instead of him. It's just, you would think you want to feel what she's feeling, especially if it's a narrated piece.
Yeah.
That point of view is such an important
Yeah.
thing.
I never felt like we got into her point of view.
So
Shall we jump into the next category?
Well, that dovetails with cinematography pretty
Yeah,
sure
strong.
does.
It does.
Right?
Let's get
point
right
of view
into-
we're talking about. So
Cinematography.
let's get into that.
cinnamon toastography.
So the first thing that I noticed about it was I freaking love the cinematography, but it's because I'm a sucker for short lighting and for single source lighting, which is a lot of what you got going on here. With the sunlight being basically the main light.
Yeah, it is pretty.
It's
I'll give it
such
that.
a pretty film. The visual storytelling
Right.
is not that
Yeah.
Not present.
That's why I say I didn't like the cinematography.
right.
Because like the lighting for me is cool, but none of the camera work really interested me. Like I never felt like the camera was being used to accent the storytelling at all.
Right.
Or push the story forward in any kind of meaningful way outside of maybe the beginning of the film. And there were some dolly shots in there that were just awkward,
unmotivated.
Yeah.
Like the ones where they're under the piano and it's rolling by, and it's like
it's supposed to be like a chaotic moment.
Yeah, that's not.
We're gliding smoothly
Where I want to be in that shot. You know, I want to be down underneath the piano with them, like you were saying earlier.
And it should be, you know, that's
where
you get off your track.
Yeah, you shouldn't be moving here. Yeah. I mean, and that's just I don't know. Is that an opinion? I don't know, because
everything's opinion.
I've always heard. Well, of course, everything's opinion. Thank you, Taylor.
Jeez.
Just saying. Just saying. It's the truth.
Moving from side to side, is seen as not a what's the word? Intimate. It's not intimate.
No,
because you're not looking at the person's face the entire time.
You're not moving in or out, which says something.
Right. You're showing the audience
side to side's neutrality.
Exactly. Yeah. You're showing the audience, hey, look at this thing that's happening. But that's it.
Yeah, as it passes.
Yeah, as it passes,
like a
exactly.
Thing.
So it's like you can use that for great stuff. Freaking what's his name? He's a YouTube channel guy who used to make really good film analysis videos. Every frame a painting.
Yeah,
that's his name. He made a video about the lateral tracking shot. It's a dolly shot side to side, and he talked about how to use it really well in storytelling in a movie called Wolf Children. That's what it was. And they showed time passage of a kid going to school and growing up by using the lateral tracking shot, going from one classroom to the next, to the next, to the next. And it was really cool because you get to see what's happening as an observer. You're not supposed to be in there with him. You're supposed to just see what's happening on the outside. So when you see that mixed in, like you guys said, under the piano,
it actually takes you further away.
It takes you away. Yeah. So, yeah.
Good point.
I also felt the shots to be repetitive.
Oh yeah, they really needed to mix up the way they were shooting the like general who was coming to the front door. At least twice he came, maybe three times.
I think 3 times.
But it was identical. So it felt and it very well may have been the case that these were all shot at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
They were, yeah.
But that was so obvious. Because it was shot the same way, it almost felt like some kind of weird time jump thing where we're going back to remembering that scene.
Right.
Because everyone's standing the same way, it's lit the same way, it's shot the exact same way. Like, we needed to mix up these shots.
It actually made this obviously very expensive movie look cheap. Felt a little cheap.
It did for that way. And you know what was interesting was, like, his character was a little menacing the second time he came in because he was demanding like wire from their house. And that's such an interesting aspect there. Someone who you thought was on your side.
Yeah, and a different kind of framing would have really
done that.
Helped.
Even if it was just a little closer.
Just something.
Yeah. Something would have made that.
Can we discuss color in this category?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Their sepia kind of toned thing.
Yeah, so I'm not in love with the sepia tone.
I love the sepia.
To me, it's just this was a movie. It was a very simple movie, a very simple story, and I believe the main aim was sentimentality. It's like a feel-good, warm, fuzzy kind of story.
Right.
And choosing sepia tone is like it just feels like the most tropey, overdone way of going for sentimentality. It just feels like the low-hanging fruit. Of course it should be sepia tone and very soft.
You feel like sepia is a trope?
Yeah, hell,
well, I mean, for sentiment is what I mean.
Yes, for nostalgic sentiment, for like looking back in the past.
For looking back, dearly.
Yes. I mean, for heaven's sakes, it's an iMovie filter. Right.
Right.
It's just to me it doesn't add anything, and it's just distracting. You know, it's like when people choose to put a film in black and white, and it's like, well,
it's like suddenly it's
explain
artistic.
Why. You know, why are we doing black and white?
That's interesting.
And I really want to challenge when I watch a movie. I really want to challenge it to tell me why it's doing. And honestly, I thought Roma was a freaking amazing movie, and the black and white is beautiful.
Yeah.
But I still don't really have the answer as to why that film needed to be black and white.
I think in
Not that we're talking about Roma. I am all kinds of a disaster today. I am just a disaster. There's some here. Sepia tone.
Yeah, for color wise, at least for black and white films, I know to me it just accents shape, and for something that's monochromatic to accent shape, it means you're doing something with your mise en scene composition. You're doing something with your composition, and for films like the frick was that film Rosebud, Citizen Kane.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, no, it's
Shit movie.
Yeah, it's a very very indie movie.
Yeah, it's
very obscure. Underrated gem.
Yeah, underrated actually.
It's a gem.
Little hidden gem.
Yeah.
Hidden gem. Even though I don't know, did they have a choice? They didn't have a choice between black and white and color, did they?
What year was it?
1939.
They could have done color.
So
but it was very expensive.
Yeah, the fact
the standard was still black and white.
Yeah, the fact that it was black and white, I still think would have been an aesthetic choice, even though color would have been available. And I think it's because that film tried to utilize shape in its
Definitely.
storytelling.
Yeah, so I think that's a great reason to make that choice.
Yeah.
Do you honestly think that's why the choice was made here?
No. I definitely think the color was chosen, like you said, as a trope, and it's not. I don't think it was something consciously chosen. I think it was kind of something like, we're telling a sentimental story here. It's in the past.
Yeah.
It definitely needs to be sepia.
Maybe it perfectly fits with what they wanted. To be honest, it really might.
Yeah, and I really don't think
this has
this
like
would
a
have been
Lifetime original movie vibe to it.
So what was the if we talk about a different stylistic movie that has the same kind of story but it was different, was Michael Bay's movie.
We're bringing Michael Bay into this conversation.
What's your question again?
So no. So Michael Bay made
Pardon?
Made
what was that?
Oh, Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I never saw Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
I like Pearl Harbor.
So Pearl Harbor,
it's actually not good, but I liked it because
Sure.
I was young.
Being a Japanese-American conflict, it is not. It's not pitted on sentimentality, and it's certainly not colored that way. He still has all of his crazy, insane shots, and with the. He has a bomb point of view.
Yeah.
On one of them.
Yeah.
Which is just nuts.
That is a nutty movie.
And it has far more blue in it than like many other films.
That's a Bay thing.
It's a Bay thing, yeah. So it's you can tell there's two different feels there, between someone who's really action heavy and something that's really soft like this. So I think it's just kind of a go-to. I don't think it's really
maybe
that consciously chosen.
That image is so the edges are so soft, and with the color being so muted, she almost looks fake.
That is a beautiful shot.
Yeah,
that is gorgeous.
See, this is what I meant by the whole film looking very pretty.
The lighting is awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the opening scene had completely different color grading? I felt like it was way more vibrant. Watch when we switch down to go across the, not there. That's it.
I know you're talking about the girl shot.
Yes, right here.
It's probably because we have yellows and greens in there.
Yeah, the rest of the movie there isn't really color in the
I think that's why. It's because we don't see.
There's no blue in the sky.
Right. We don't see any blues or
interiors and.
It's like the whole movie is shades of brown.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and honestly, that looks really, really nice with that color grade.
It does look nice.
It looks awesome.
I really love that.
Yeah.
In this opening shot,
and she's even wearing blue.
The opening scene, I was like, "Holy cow, this is going to be an awesome movie."
Yeah,
that's what it set me
up for. Kind of how I felt too.
Yeah.
And it was to a point.
It was interesting to see how big of a production it was for like one location.
Yeah, pretty huge production.
This is one of those films. I said this to you guys earlier. I want the filmmaker and others to hear me say it, because I know this is one of those films where we are going to come down on it pretty hard, and none of the three of us particularly loved it. But I am certain that hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of people have loved it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it has a million laurels on the thumbnail.
It does. Yeah.
A
sure it had
million
it.
laurels.
Yeah.
That's
counted.
Congratulations.
That's a lot of laurels, man.
So I'm sure it did like really well in the festival circuit.
Yeah, and not to say that it's a, you know, all movies are subjective. You're not going to go into this and being like this is objectively a bad movie.
All movies.
That's just your opinion, dude.
You know what? Everything's an opinion.
That's your opinion, though.
Everything's an opinion.
That's your opinion.
That's your opinion.
Oh shit.
Anyways, as we were saying, yeah, this movie's great.
Huh?
That's not what I was saying.
Wait, what's happening? What are you saying?
I was saying that the movie, you know, I can acknowledge that there's a lot of people that like the movie for certain reasons. It's not the same reasons why we would like a movie.
Yeah.
I can almost see myself as if I picture myself as a festival promoter and I'm looking for a film that has not necessarily like has a cool story around it. Like this is definitely one that stands out because, you know, it is awesome that the actual girl this movie is based on appears at the end of the film playing piano.
Yeah.
And that it is based on a first-hand story that they have first-hand access to.
That's
which
cool.
Is quite
that is really
unique.
cool.
Right.
Especially for a short film, you know.
Right. And it does things, you know, that films that we don't like. I'm have to rephrase that. The things that we don't like in many of the films that are submitted to us aren't present in this. You know, this is just
like the super obvious problems that 90% of the short films have.
Right.
You used microphones.
Yeah.
Well, not only do
It's
they have
well-produced,
pretty much perfect
you know.
sound mix and all that,
It's a great sound.
but like, you know, they understand motivation, you know,
Mhm.
they understand characters and nothing's flat. You know, it's really easy to tell that these are really seasoned people that are making that made this.
Yes. And you know, we're sitting in our, you know, critic seats and have our critics hats on.
Yeah.
We're looking for things we can all learn from.
Yeah.
And honestly, the movies that are more well produced, the flaws stand out.
They do.
Stronger.
And if you want to see, by the way, us tear apart another really big production, JA9.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's an episode right there where we talk about JA9, which is a really big production,
Expensive production.
super expensive, and we just tear it to pieces
Because we suck.
because we're terrible people.
We are the worst.
Do we have another category to go into?
We do. It's sound/music.
This music was two things for me, both conflicting. It was amazing and maddening at the same time.
Exactly how I felt.
The diegetic/non-diegetic
Yep.
thing was very distracting
Yeah.
and weakened the movie.
I would agree.
I would agree. Yeah.
So
So, for example, this scene, we have I think the score goes in from here.
is that a typewriter font?
Looks nice, actually.
Hmm?
It looks nice. Okay.
So this is diegetic.
Yes. Well, no. So this is non-diegetic.
which
I'm sorry.
was
I'm confusing the words again.
backwards.
Diegetic
Diegetic
means
is
it's
in the
coming
scene.
out of the scene itself.
Yeah, and non-diegetic is score.
His
Right.
score.
Okay. This is non-diegetic,
No, I think you're
Piano.
supposed to think
This
it's diegetic
The
because it's playing.
hammers
But-
are playing, right?
but it's because it continued from
Sure.
the previous
From before.
scene.
Yeah, no, but I think they're mixing
playing
things
with
up.
it.
I think they're really mixing things, and I think they're
But then she
trying to
stops
do
playing.
something clever.
No, but then there's something else that they do. When they come in from here, the hammers aren't moving whatsoever.
Play.
I don't know. Now they are. See, but it's for a
in
while.
start.
I don't know if that was intended or not, but it's
There
Right
are
after the title
there
comes
are
out.
hammers you can't see.
nothing's playing right now,
There could be
and then it's there playing.
because there's hammers over there that you can't see.
I don't think so.
Keep
there
playing.
are.
No, I think there are. I just don't think she was playing anything right there.
But,
But anyway,
Yeah, we're making the same point.
the point is, that it was hard to see.
We have piano score almost through the entirety of the movie.
Right, and you can never tell if it's her playing or not.
And she goes from her playing, and then she'll stand up and walk away. The piano playing keeps happening.
right,
And it just bombards the whole movie. And I think that they're going for like a thematic thing, right?
Right.
The piano is what binds the peoples together.
Right.
But we remember earlier we talked about how we really couldn't understand her connection to the piano. That could have... Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay. So earlier we had pointed out this problem of not being able to tell what her relationship to piano and piano playing was. Well, that could have been made a lot more clear if we knew when she was playing the piano.
Or could tell that she was.
And
yeah.
and if all the piano playing was her playing the piano.
Yeah.
Right.
And give us some movie without music.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
mean, music.
It was throughout the
Just
whole thing.
constant.
It was
Yeah.
constant, and
Became numb.
music is
numbing.
so powerful
Yeah.
when it's to accent something that's already on the screen
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
add to, right? But when it's throughout, it just becomes the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and put this in there. One of the films that we decided was like one of the best films of last year.
Last year. Yeah.
Last year was Tube from Dario Ortega, who had a soundtrack of barely anything,
Yeah.
and it made the film amazingly atmospheric.
Yeah. Very minimal score.
Yeah, yeah,
With the piano being constant, it actually undermines the theme of her playing piano.
Yes.
Yeah, it actually makes her piano playing less impactful
yeah.
and less meaningful.
And this is something you can see afterwards. I don't think this is something you could really see before when you're watching them. I mean, I guess maybe during editing, but it's like I feel like if I was the filmmaker, I probably would have recorded a bunch of her music and I would have then edited it into the film afterwards instead of having her score the whole thing, which I imagine they didn't
She didn't
do.
play the piano for the movie.
Right.
They had some other musician.
Yeah. Okay. Did they score the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
I loved the score in the beginning.
I like the score actually in its entirety. I just don't think it was
Appropriately used, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be a big score whore. Maybe we'll say.
Sure, why not? That sounds good to me.
Like it was very hard for me to leave any moment of my films without music.
Right. Oh, me too.
Like
Definitely me
I
too.
just felt like music needed to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And one of my filmmaking mentors was the one who pulled me aside and is like, "This has just gone on too far, Kenny. You got to dial back the music. Let your characters speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Because literally you're kind of dumbing down your movie
Yeah.
by telling your audience, oh, this is how you're supposed to feel right now.
Well,
it's because my characters aren't giving it to you, so I'm going to give it to you here with music.
I think that's a bit.
I got my finger stuck in the...
I think what you're saying about score, I think, is valid, but because it's something that I've thought about several times, and a lot of people do talk about score substituting emotion, for actual emotion. But also, I want to say, score in itself, just music in itself, is always subjective depending on the culture that you're from.
Yeah.
And depending on what age you are and the context you're set up and stuff like that.
As is everything
As is
in
everything.
the movie.
Yes, I know. But I mean, I don't think you could always say that score that's emotionally heavy is a replacement for, the emotion that you're trying to get out of someone or something. It could be.
It is if you'd lean on it through the whole movie.
I think if it's repetitive.
Yeah.
I think in this film's case, it's true.
Yeah, I just want to. I do want to point out that I don't think it's always true.
No, definitely not. All I mean is that if that's the crutch that you're using over and over and over again,
Yeah.
then it's not giving you the impact you want.
And also the character that we have in here, the little girl, is not exactly expressive in any case. And so when you have expressive music with a non-expressive actor, it kind of makes it look like we're substituting emotion.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
What a big discussion, guys.
Here we
That
are.
was pretty epic.
Looks like we've come to that
That time?
time.
That's... You don't have a watch, Kenny.
What's a watch?
so okay, this is the time of the show where we talk to the filmmaker themselves.
Yep.
So you viewers who are not the filmmaker, please leave your comments below if you have questions for them. And usually the filmmaker comes in and answers them.
It's awesome.
So also leave your comments if you thought we missed anything, or if you just completely disagree with us.
Violently disagree with us.
Violently.
That's what I want more of. I want more people to disagree with us in the comments.
With that being said,
Trolling.
Yeah.
Troll us.
with that being said, this is our next section. To you, Paul. Is this for Paul or is this for both?
Hamish?
Whoever worked on the
Hamish?
movie.
Okay, Hamish and Paul.
Anyone who wants to speak for this movie.
everybody,
Yeah.
everybody who made this movie. This for you.
Yeah,
All
the
is
100
welcome.
crew members. All right.
I'll start.
Yeah.
With our favorite question: why did you make this movie?
Yeah.
I definitely think there's a meeting thing here where you met this person, thought, oh wow, what a great movie, what a great story. I'm going to turn that into a movie, and then festival run, and certainly that's what it looks like happened. Was there any personal connection with this other than just meeting the person? And I mean, like with yourself, did you have any type of personal connection with this kind of movie, or did you? How did you meet this person? And that's not or. I'm not saying the question right. How did you meet the person in the beginning, and what inspired you to make this movie?
I would like to hear the condensed version of how you pulled off this production. I mean, really, really impressive job. So tell me, please, how did you raise the money? Where did you shoot it? How long was your shoot? What was your casting process like? 'Cause you have a freaking impressive characters on the screen here that just really, really match the characters that you've written really well. What were some of the big challenges you faced in getting this done?
You gotta take that off, and then you'll have a question.
This one is for. I'm gonna give this one to Hamish.
Hamish.
No, not Hamish Black. Not Hamish Black.
Hate that guy.
He sucks. This one's to Kármán cult member Hamish. Are these the type of films you normally write? Kind of a more period, sentimental sort of thing? Or do you have other genres that you like to write in or make films in? And it's been a while since this movie came out too. So what are you up to now?
Yes.
What have you progressed into?
Yes, I want to see more of your work.
Yeah.
This was duly impressive.
Seriously.
Despite all the things that we said that we didn't like about it, it's very, very, very impressive. So please send us more work, and thank you so much for sending us this one.
And looks like we're done.
Thank God.
Wow.
Goodbye.
That was fast. I won't.